The first thing you need to understand is that I am a rational person. I have a degree in electrical engineering. I've worked in data centers for 11 years. I believe in cause and effect, in measurable phenomena, in the universe as a fundamentally explainable machine. I am telling you this so that when I describe what happened in the house on Wicker Lane, you understand that I am not someone who sees ghosts in every shadow. The second thing you need to understand is that I no longer live in that house. No one does. My wife and I bought the place in March. It was a 1940s bungalow in a quiet neighborhood outside of Albany, the kind of place where people walk their dogs at the same time every day and wave at you whether they know you or not. The house needed work. The kitchen was from the Carter administration, and the bathroom had this bizarre salmon pink tile that seemed to generate its own gravitational field of ugliness. But the bones were good. The inspector gave it a clean bill of health. The price was right. We signed. The first month was normal. We painted, ripped out carpet, argued about backsplash tiles the way couples do when they're secretly having fun. Our daughter Lily, who was 4, picked the color for her bedroom. A shade of purple so aggressive it practically hummed. She loved it. The problem started in April. Small things at first. Lights we'd turned off would be on when we came back into the room. The thermostat would reset itself to 58 degrees at random intervals. I assumed electrical issues. The house was old. The wiring could have been original. I called an electrician. He spent an afternoon testing circuits and outlets and told me everything was up to code. Someone had actually rewired the whole house at some point. Good work, he said. Modern. Nothing that would explain the flickering. Then the sounds started. Not creaks or settling. Every old house does that. This was something else. A rhythmic tapping, like someone drumming their fingers on a wooden surface. It came from the walls. Always from the walls. And it moved. You'd hear it in the kitchen, walk toward it, and it would shift to the hallway. Follow it there, and it would migrate to the bedroom. It happened at night, mostly between 2 and 4 a.m. I'd lie in bed and track it as it circled the house like something pacing. My wife Lindsay said it was pipes. I said pipes don't pace. She said I was being dramatic. Then Lily started talking to someone. Kids have imaginary friends. I know this. I had one. A purple dinosaur named Gerald who lived in the garage and ate batteries. Totally normal developmental thing. So when Lily started having one-sided conversations in her bedroom, I didn't think much of it. But Lily's friend wasn't imaginary in the usual way. She didn't make him up. She said he was already there when we moved in. His name was Mr. Calloway. She described him very specifically. Tall, thin, wearing a dark suit with a vest, gray hair combed back, small round glasses. He stood in the corner of her room, always the same corner, the one behind the door where the purple paint hadn't dried evenly, and he watched her play. "He doesn't play with me," she told me once, matter-of-factly, while eating Cheerios. "He just watches. He says he's waiting." "Waiting for what?" she shrugged. "He doesn't say. He just says it's almost time." I smiled and changed the subject. But something about the specificity of her description bothered me. A 4-year-old's imaginary friend is a talking bear or a fairy princess. Not a tall man in a vest with round glasses. That's not imagination. That's observation. I searched the history of the house. The county records were online, clunky and poorly digitized, but functional. The house had been built in 1942 by a man named Arthur Calloway. I sat at my desk for a long time after finding that name. Arthur Calloway had been an accountant. He'd lived in the house alone after his wife died in 1961. He died there himself in 1978. Natural causes, according to the death certificate. Heart failure. He was 71. The house had passed through 6 owners between his death and our purchase, none of them staying more than a few years. I didn't tell Lindsay about the name. I didn't tell her about any of the other things I found either. The property records showing 4 of those 6 owners had sold at a loss. The forum post from 2016 where someone who'd grown up on Wicker Lane mentioned that the Calloway house always felt wrong. The curious gap in the ownership records between 2008 and 2012, where the house sat empty and the property taxes were paid by an estate with no listed beneficiaries. Instead, I set up cameras. I'm an engineer. When something doesn't make sense, I gather data. I bought 4 wireless cameras and placed them throughout the house. Living room, kitchen, Lily's bedroom, and the hallway. I hooked them up to continuous recording on a hard drive in my office. I checked the feeds obsessively. For the first week, nothing. The tapping continued at night, but the cameras showed empty rooms. The sound was there on the audio, clear, rhythmic, unmistakable, but nothing moved. No source, no explanation. On the 8th night at 3:12 a.m., the camera in Lily's room captured something. The footage showed Lily asleep in bed, her purple comforter pulled up to her chin. The room was dark except for the soft glow of her nightlight, a little plug-in thing shaped like a moon. At 3:11, the nightlight flickered. At 3:12, the temperature reading on the camera dropped from 68 to 51 degrees in the span of 4 seconds, and in the corner behind the door, where the paint hadn't dried evenly, a shadow gathered. Not fell, not appeared, gathered. It coalesced from the edges of the corner like water flowing uphill, pooling into a shape that was darker than the surrounding darkness. It was tall, it was thin, and it stood perfectly still, oriented toward Lily's bed. I watched the footage 6 times. Each time, the shadow was there for exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds before dispersing. It didn't move. It didn't reach for her. It just stood there, watching, like it was waiting. I showed Lindsay the footage the next morning. She stared at the screen and said it was a compression artifact, a shadow from a passing car, pareidolia. I pointed out that our bedroom faces the street, not Lily's room, that there are no windows on that wall, that compression artifacts don't hold a consistent shape for 4 minutes and 17 seconds. We argued, not about the shadow, about what to do. I wanted to leave. She said we'd sunk everything into the house, that we couldn't afford to sell at a loss, that I was scaring Lily by being scared. She had a point about the money. She didn't have a point about the rest of it. I slept on the couch for 3 nights. Each night I watched the live feed from Lily's camera on my phone. Each night, at some point between 2 and 4 a.m., the shadow appeared in the corner. Same shape, same duration, same perfect stillness. The tapping in the walls would stop during those 4 minutes and 17 seconds every time, like the house was holding its breath. On the 4th night, Lily woke up while the shadow was there. I watched it happen in real time. She sat up in bed, looked at the corner, and smiled. Not a scared smile, not a confused smile. The unguarded, delighted smile of a child seeing someone they like. "Hi, Mr. Calloway," she said. The shadow didn't move. "Mommy says you're not real," Lily said. "But I told her you are." I was already putting on my shoes, already moving toward her room. But I paused because Lily was still talking, and I needed to hear what she said next. "You said it's almost time," she said. "Time for what?" The shadow shifted. Barely. A slight change in its orientation, like a head tilting. And on the camera's audio, underneath the hiss of the compression, there was something. A sound so low it was more felt than heard. A vibration in a frequency that made my phone's speaker crackle. Lily nodded as if she'd heard a clear answer. "Okay," she said. "I'll tell Daddy." I was in her room in 8 seconds. The corner was empty. The temperature was normal. Lily looked at me with the patient expression of a child who knows more than the adults around her. "Mr. Calloway says the house wants to keep us," she said. "He says he's trying to help, but he can't hold it much longer." "Hold what, sweetheart?" "The door," she said. "The one in the basement." "We don't have a basement. The house is on a slab foundation. The inspector confirmed it. I confirmed it. There is no basement." But the next morning, while Lindsay was at work and Lily was at preschool, I pulled up the carpet in the hallway, the one section we hadn't replaced yet, and found a seam in the floor. Not a crack, a seam. A deliberate cut in the subfloor, roughly 3 feet by 3 feet, sealed with something dark and waxy that had hardened over decades. I didn't open it. I went to the county records office instead, pulled the original building plans for the house. Arthur Calloway's signature was on the permit application. The plans showed a simple bungalow on a concrete slab. No basement, no crawl space, no subfloor access panel. The seam in my hallway floor doesn't exist on any blueprint. I put the carpet back. We moved out that weekend. I told Lindsay it was for a renovation, that I'd found potential asbestos in the flooring, and we needed to stay with her mother while the remediation happened. She believed me because she wanted to believe me. We never went back. I sold the house 4 months later, at a loss, to a couple from Connecticut with no children. I didn't tell them about the cameras. I didn't tell them about Mr. Calloway. I didn't tell them about the seam in the floor. Sometimes I wonder if I should have. Lily stopped mentioning Mr. Calloway within a week of leaving. She doesn't seem to remember him now. She's 6 and she likes dinosaurs and soccer and she sleeps through the night without incident. But sometimes, and this is the part that keeps me up, the part I can't engineer away, sometimes she'll pause in the middle of playing and look at a corner of whatever room she's in, just for a second, just a glance. And then she'll go back to what she was doing, and when I ask her what she saw, she says nothing, in the quick, automatic way that means she saw something and has decided not to tell me about it. Last week I drove past Wicker Lane. I don't know why. The house looked the same, but in the front window, where the living room is, the curtains were open, and the room behind them was dark, which was strange because it was 2 in the afternoon on a sunny day. And in that darkness, for just a moment, I thought I saw a shape. Tall, thin, standing very still. I drove away. The couple from Connecticut hasn't listed the house for sale yet. I check every week. I don't know what I'll do when they do,